So 2025 is almost over. The Nintendo Switch 2 is the big console launch that happened this year. I happen to be a day one buyer of the console, and I'm here to tell you if it's worth it to buy your own now, or if it's a good idea to wait. Should you put a Nintendo Switch 2 on your Christmas list or try to get it for Black Friday? Or should you live with your Switch 1 for now and try to get it at a different time? Well, that's the question we're here to answer in this video. So why did I buy it on day one? Well, you see, I have an affinity for waiting 4 hours outside of a GameStop for things. It's just a thing I like to do with my free time. Jokes aside, being completely honest, I just really wanted to play Mario Kart World. At the end of the day, what sells consoles is the games you're able to play on them, and while the overall launch lineup of the Switch 2 wasn't the greatest, a brand new Mario Kart after over 11 years since the last one's release is a good way to start. But one other reason I decided to get it so early on, despite not having a pre-order for the console, was I thought this console was going to be hard to get for a long time. You see, in the past, Nintendo has been pretty notorious for their stock issues. Whether it be the original Switch, the 3DS, or any special version of it, or literal figurines, Nintendo always seems to launch a product with very few of them actually available. Either doing that intentionally to drive up demand, that's my guess and probably the most accurate one, but for whatever reason it happened, it was really annoying. But to Nintendo's credit, the Switch 2 has actually seemed relatively easy to get. It's had pretty healthy stock at major retailers, so good on Nintendo for finally finding the keys to their manufacturing facilities. Anyways, here's some footage of me getting the Switch 2 day one after waiting outside in that line. Hello. Hi, sorry, I'm not gonna put you on camera, it's doing a vlog. And I'll get a Pro controller as well. I think I'll just do the Mario Kart is probably all I'm gonna play for a minute. So
no, it's gonna take up a lot of your time.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it.
Lanyard for you if you want.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sure. I'll take a free lanyard. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. And yeah, receipt. Perfect. That's awesome. You got it. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you guys. Have a good one. Have a good one. Congrats. See you guys. We got it. Oh my God, we actually got it. Switch 2, baby. And we got Switches too. Okay, so we're back at my house. We have the Switch 2 right here. I'll be doing an unboxing in front of you all. As well as that, we have a Switch 2 Pro controller, which I decided to get. And I didn't know that you could use the old Pro controllers, so that's on me for not doing my research. I guess there's new buttons on the back, so sure, that'll be cool. Okay, so very first unboxing here. First time I'm opening this. Oh, look at that. Boom, so we have the actual console right here. We have the two Joy-Con controllers, which I do quite like the look of them, to be honest. I was kind of bummed out that they're just mostly black and like all the, having a ton of colors kind of taken away. But, it's still like a nice look. I don't think it's going to be too bad. Okay, so immediately I am noticing that these are a lot bigger than the old ones. Not by like a super huge margin, but definitely a pretty big improvement, I would say. Especially as a person with big hands, the previous Joy-Cons were pretty small for me. But these are pretty nice. Yeah, holding it like this feels way better than the previous ones, to be honest. I didn't really like holding the Joy-Cons like this because, again, it's just a bit too small. But these are bigger, and it definitely feels like a more, I guess, premium product or whatever. But yeah, so far so good on these. I still wish that these were not clicks and more of like how regular controllers are. Instead of a click for the trigger, it's actually like a full trigger, but it's still just click, but Nintendo doing Nintendo things. HDMI cable, very important, especially because I couldn't find any in my house when I was looking for them. We have all the extra stuff that comes with it. We have the little Joy-Con controller thing. It feels a lot sleeker than the Switch 1 one. Not that it really needed like a huge upgrade or anything, but that's nice, I guess. Charger block. Now, I'm very glad that they went to a charging block that has a detachable cord instead of what they were doing before with the stupid, it's like connected or whatever. I hated that old Switch charger. This is much better. Now I can use this for other things. Thank you, Nintendo. Appreciate it. Right here is the new dock. You could definitely tell that there's actual like technology in this one, unlike the last one where it literally just felt like a plastic box. Trying to open it up here. Okay, so yeah, it opens up. Oh, okay, so it's not like a flip down, it just comes off. So this is where the fan's gonna be, HDMI out, AC adapter, all the stuff that you know and love from your Switches. Okay, now we have the actual console. Oh, look at that. It is certainly a rectangle. Okay, so we're gonna put the Joy-Cons on. I heard the magnets are very powerful on this one, so let's give it a shot. Trying to move it or anything. Yep, that's on there. Taking it off, pretty easy. Bring it back on, clips in pretty nicely. That's good. Same with the left one. Nice. Okay, so just kind of feeling this in hand as the handheld mode. I like it. I really do. The size is definitely, I think, an improvement. It's a lot bigger. I think that's definitely a good thing for this because, again, like the Switch 2, it felt overall good, but it felt a little bit small in my big hands. I think this is going to be a lot better for people with bigger hands. For people with smaller hands, maybe not, but I think it should be easy enough to adjust. It's not too big of a difference. Doing a quick comparison of my old Switch, you can see that it is definitely a lot bigger. Even just putting it like this, you can see that there's a lot more Switch in the Switch 2. And I think it might be a little slimmer. This feels more chunky than this, just holding it in the similar fashion. Yeah, it looks like the Switch 2 is pretty slimmer, which I didn't know going in, but that's cool. So yeah, I think overall the feel feels pretty nice, so that's good. I like that. And just to show you guys the Pro Controller as well, gonna do a quick unboxing for that. And we just gotta rip it out there. Oh, it's just a cord. Where's the controller? Oh, it was under the cord. Okay, that's how that works. So I have a new USB-C cord, which I actually didn't need. First time taking out the controller. Okay, so yeah, it seems pretty identical to the Switch 1 one. It kind of feels a little bit smaller, actually. But yeah, the back buttons feel nice, honestly. It feels very sleek. It feels kind of slippery, but I do kind of like the gray on the back here. I think that's actually pretty nice addition. Again, wish it had real triggers. But overall, I don't really hate that. I think it's pretty good because of doing the quick side-by-side comparison. So these ones have bigger buttons, which I think makes a controller feel kind of smaller, but I'm not sure if it actually is. It looks mostly the same size. The old one has kind of like the see-through look, which I actually did really like. This one doesn't. It's much more like, current tech. Very modern, very sleek, very whatnot. It does feel like might be a little bit slippery, but overall it feels essentially the same as the old one. So I turned on the Switch 2, transferred my Switch 1 data, and yeah, everything's pretty much mostly the same from a software standpoint. The menu is basically identical to the Switch 1, albeit a few minor differences. It did feel faster than the Switch 1, which I would hope it would. Things like loading into the eShop are way quicker on the Switch 2 than the Switch 1, and I do overall like some of the changes to the menu, like the online features being on the main page now, and just the overall sleekness and the little animations and sound effects that Nintendo's known for. I do wish I could play a cute little tech demo of the console, but there's no way I'm paying $10 for it. Genuinely one of the scammiest things Nintendo has ever done. I cannot believe they're charging for that game. But I excitedly jumped into Mario Kart World, and it was a blast. The game is super fun. It does feel like an upgraded version of Mario Kart 8, while having a unique concept of an open world Mario Kart, which I do know some people don't like the whole no 3 laps thing, but I still overall just really like how the game feels. I don't overall mind the no 3 laps thing, but this isn't the video to get into all that. But Mario Kart World became my main game for the first month of the Switch 2's lifespan. The rest of the launch lineup being weak didn't really affect my overall experience of the console. I still really enjoyed my time with it. I had Mario Kart World, which is gonna take up a lot of hours. I have my entire Switch 1 library. Thank God they decided to do backwards compatibility. That's enough to keep me happy for at least the first few months. Plus, now Donkey Kong Bonanza is out, releasing a little bit over a month into the console's lifespan, which I think is a great move. Releasing that game at launch to having it compete with Mario Kart World wouldn't have made sense. Having it come out just over a month after was, I think, the great move, and it's given me something else to sink my teeth into. Plus, it's basically just Super Mario Odyssey, but Donkey Kong instead, so who's really gonna complain about that? It's a banner, you already know it. It is too expensive though, really don't like that. Overall game performance has been quite good. I haven't tested it with many of my Switch 1 games, but Smash Ultimate seems to work fine on it. Although my GameCube controller adapter doesn't really seem to work, but it was a third-party one I've had for over a decade, so it might just be broken, I'm not really sure. But Mario Kart runs really smoothly. I have heard some complaints about the frame rate with Donkey Kong Bonanza, but I haven't really noticed anything too egregious. At the very least, it doesn't ruin the experience of the game, and it does work well most of the time, so I really don't see it as too much of an issue. However, I do have some gripes with the overall hardware of the console. First of all, the battery is not great. I've noticed it dying or getting low faster than I would have expected it to while using it on that handheld mode, and sometimes I will not use it for a while and then check it and then it's dead, even though I know I at least charged it a little bit the last time I used it. According to Google, it has a battery life of 2.5 to 6 hours depending on the software that you're using, and that's on a single single charge, so that is pretty disappointing, but also might just be the reality of handhelds. I'm not really sure how much Nintendo could really do about that. Yes, you could put a bigger battery, but then that's more space in the console, making it probably thicker. And this is a console with much better specs than the Switch 1, so it does make sense that it would demand more battery, but it is just kind of an annoying thing, especially if you're using it while you're traveling. So that definitely does kind of suck, but again, I'm not sure how much Nintendo could really do about it. I do overall like the new Joy-Cons. They are bigger than the Switch 1 was, which does make them fit better in my hand. They do feel a lot better than the Switch 1's controls. Don't really have any problems when using them like this or using them in handheld mode. And so far I haven't experienced Joy-Con drift like the Switch 1 had, which I did experience, and I haven't heard any reports of that happening, at least not to a huge extent, so hopefully Nintendo has figured out that issue, but I do have some concerns about the longevity of these controllers. I'm already starting to have some scratches on the rubber of the joystick on the left Joy-Con. Maybe I'm pressing it with my nail too much by accident, but it does kind of tell me that the material they used isn't exactly the strongest. So that does make me worry, but maybe I just gotta be more careful, but this did happen with my Joy-Con on my Switch 1 as well. So overall, the hardware is just a better version of the Switch 1. The new stand on the back is a lot better. I do appreciate having a charging port on the top as well as the bottom. It really is just a upgraded version of the Switch 1 with better specs, better hardware, and better software. So overall, has my experience been worth the high price tag of 700 Canadian dollars for that Mario Kart bundle, plus all the other stuff I have to get as well? Overall, yeah, it's a high price tag, I'm not gonna lie, but this is something that is known about this console. It's around the same price as the PS5, which you can debate on if that's fair or not, and you can debate on how much value each console brings for that price tag, but I do know that I'm gonna use the Switch 2 a lot, and I already have. Just like any console, you're not just buying it for the first few months, you're buying it to play it for years to come. I was fine with just playing Mario Kart and Donkey Kong for the summer. Those two games had plenty of content to keep me occupied until a pretty solid lineup of winter games was on the horizon. The new $100 plus price tag that these new games have is egregious and should continue to be scrutinized. It's terrible that Nintendo raises prices like this, but they know they can get away with it, and it worked on me. At the end of the day, Nintendo consoles, both good and bad, always have amazing exclusive games that everybody can enjoy. And they do have a pretty impressive slate for the rest of the year. Kirby Air Riders just came out and seems like some pretty chaotic fun, and Metroid Prime 4 is only a few weeks away from finally releasing. But either way, I do think Nintendo did a good job with providing the Switch 2 with a pretty good slate of games for that first year. But is it truly worth it to get it in 2025? I'm gonna say that it's really a coin toss. If you love Nintendo and know that you're gonna play a ton of Mario Kart World and a ton of Donkey Kong Bonanza, then I would say go for it if you're able to pony up the cash. But if you feel like you can wait for those games, you can always play Donkey Kong Bonanza later. Mario Kart World is going to be popular for this console's entire lifespan, that's basically a given. If you can wait to play those games, then I see no reason why you couldn't wait another year, and then they're gonna have even more games that you can play. So while there is some great value in getting the Switch 2 this early, especially if you love Mario Kart like I do, you don't need to feel a ton of FOMO just yet, as this console is going to continue to get more and more games that should stand the test of time, at least if Nintendo's track record is anything to go off of. But you will be missing out on the launch of the upcoming best multiplayer game of all time, Drag and Drive, baby. Let's go, robot wheelchair basketball, baby. I'm gonna drag my Joy-Cons across my thigh like no other. I'm gonna be wearing a wheelchair Drake from Degrassi skin. It's gonna be great.